Marketing does not have to be confusing. My name is Donna Peterson, and you are listening to the B2B Marketing Excellence Podcast. I am so happy to be here today with my good friend, Pauline Murphy. We are meeting here in person to talk about data. Pauline, I use as my source for finding good quality data. She understands data protection, data privacy, data governance. And so today she's going to shed some light on how she got into this industry and why it's so very important.
Okay, so we've been in the data industry a long time, and along comes fairly major data protection changes in 2018. And as a company, One Stop Data decided to embrace it, and provide training and understanding of what was going on with GDPR and PECR. GDPR being the data protection about personal information, and PECR that covers the electronic regulations. And we've worked with our customers, to make sure they're compliant, and we've certainly followed a very strict process, set up lots of processes, automated processes to make sure we're compliant with our data. And I think, anybody who wants to survive or wants to use good data, must be thinking of this and setting up processes the same way.
Well, because it's so very important. And when we talk about this, we all realize that these types of regulations and rules have to come down from the top.
Absolutely. Right? It needs to come from the board. The board needs to be sitting there, and the initial assessment, which is required by law, should be done at board level without a doubt. Every member of the board should be involved, because there's no, as we were discussing earlier, it's not my fault, it's theirs. That's not an excuse.
But I like that one, that it wasn't me. It can't be me. It's not my fault. Like I said, it'd be like me with my mother, like, Mom, it wasn't me. But meanwhile, I've got chocolate all over my face. And she's like, apparently it was you.
So. Got the chocolate. So yes, indeed, in terms of data, so we set up a data audit, making sure we know what data we have, what it's being used for, where it's going, what, where, why, how. And is it necessary to keep all that data, which is the privacy by design? Can you anonymize some of it? And also things like the right to be informed. Every data recipient should know what you're doing with the data. Yeah. We've built automated systems to manage our unsubscribes, our subject access requests. And key to all that is training your whole team, the whole team, and having a data protection officer. Even in a small company, someone can be the expert, to cover your data protection. And again, it needs to come from the top, that assignment.
But I hear from people all the time saying, we can't do that. It's too expensive. But I feel that you put this money in up front, and you'll more than make up for it on the back end, because you're going to end up with good quality data in your own database. You're only going to use good quality data, which means you're going to get a better response on all your marketing campaigns, and you're going to get more sales from the right people.
So one of the key parts of data protection is having accurate data. And if it's accurate, it's going to work better. If you're taking out people who really don't want to hear from you, it's going to work better.
And that's the whole SEO, because with SEO, the more emails you send out, if the people aren't opening it or clicking it, that doesn't look good for SEO. So if you want to have good and optimized, you need good quality data of people that'll actually open and click.
That's right. So the process helps us in keeping data clean, up to date and accurate. And also, with the advent of such cybersecurity breaches, the other thing is we have to keep our data safe and passworded. You can't just hand data about, the way you might have done a long time ago. So again, it speaks to the cybersecurity, the accuracy of the data. For the most part, it's good news.
Yes.
And as a global company, we use GDPR and PECR rules, and we roll them out worldwide.
Wow, that's amazing, because you're doing more than you really have to do.
Yeah.
Which means your data is superior because it's across all the GDPR, across all countries and states.
Yes, so it's getting worked the same way, with the same right to be informed, the same right to unsubscribe, do a subject access request, and a DPO officer to manage all that.
Yeah, because there are files out there that don't follow these stringent guidelines.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of suppliers out there who are making a lot of money out of selling made-up data.
Yeah.
That in the end, if you're using it, you will get fined, and you can't say it's not my fault. You know, it was supplied by this big company.
Can I do it one more time? It wasn't me. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what marketing is doing with that data. No, it doesn't work like that.
And in addition, we keep a strict audit trail. So whatever, you know, wherever the data's been, whatever they've been informed, when they've been informed or opted out, it's all there in the trail and can be monitored if required. And that's key. You know, that's key
so important, because I ran into an issue years ago where someone came in and said, you know, I opted out. I don't want to get your promotions anymore. Why are you still sending me a promotion? But because you use good quality vendors, I was able to go back and find out the person signed up 3 times. We had their IP address. And so we were in the right. We weren't doing anything wrong. And we showed it to the individual. And of course they said, I'm sorry. I didn't remember doing that. But at least we had those checks and balances in place that we could show them. Otherwise, it really could have turned into something ugly for our client.
You don't want to be fighting that. That's timely, costly, and damaging to your reputation.
Yes.
So, as I said to you earlier, you know, I've been learning golf recently, you know, and one of the things that my trainer keeps driving home is setting up of you know, before you take a strike, setting up your position, the ball, and that's pretty much what it is for data protection. You've got to do an assessment and assess your risks, decide, you know, what your legal basis is, and it's not hard. It's not particularly time consuming. We've got lots of links we can send people to with easy to use apps of, you know, how to set yourself up and how to make those decisions. So if anybody wants that information, you know, let's just put it on.
We'll do that.
Site.
We'll have all
I'm
links.
Happy to share links and apps that can help them set up their data protection easily and cheaply.
Maybe we'll even set up a checklist for people so that they can go through, because I know Pauline has, I think, 8 or 10 areas that you need to just look into. And like she says, it's not difficult. You just need to know what you're looking for, find out about them. And then I always say, go over it regularly to make sure you're still just keeping that same process in place. Or if you get a new employee, that they understand all the things they should be doing. It's very similar to like a marketing audit or audit even of your life. And that goes back to what you said, that whole setup. If you have a strong setup or you're building a building, you have that strong foundation, that's when you'll have something that will stand the test of time, just like good data, good marketing campaign, good business.
Make a cunning plan.
Yeah.
Just to get through data protection.
Right.
And it pays off in spades, because it pays off with better data.
Right. And with better data, you can also plan for the future, because you'll be able to understand your target audience better because you know who they are. Where if you're looking at a dirty database or a database that maybe has invalid email, so here you think John Smith is really interested in what you have, but he's not, because that's not his email address and you're not reaching him. Why are you taking him into consideration? We don't want to be getting the John Smiths of the world.
You'll also get hit by the ISPs for going out to a whole load of acceptors of emails that don't exist.
Oh, okay, good.
So, you know, that's going to endanger your whole business. It's key to make sure it's real data you're going out to.
Well, and there's lots of vendors who give invalid emails. When you go in and you rent it, you could be renting invalid emails. And why are you wasting your money doing that? And it can hurt you. Yes. And you tarnish your reputation. I know the brands we work for, that is a big issue, because they're companies that have been around for many years. World Innovators, we've been around for 42 years. You've been around for 21. I was going to say 25. See that? But that's where you go, and you go with companies that know the history, know all the laws, and they have the good data and the regulations set up in place, and they're doing the due diligence needed.
And can tell you where the data came from.
Yeah. Oh, the source of the data. Very important.
Absolutely.
Because I'll get people who say, oh, I've got this list of 1,000 people. And I'm like, well, where'd you get it from? And they can't tell me. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Are they opted in? Are they compliant? And when you can't answer those questions, do not put that in your database, because now you're just polluting your database. And it is hard if you have a database and you start to pollute it, when you've got to go through and try to clean it up afterwards. It is time consuming. It takes 3 times as much time and money to clean it up after you've done that.
And it's almost impossible to find the bad data once it's in there.
Well, that's because I'm trying to do that with a client. They had a list that they bought from somebody else and they entered it in, and now it's a big mess. And we're trying to figure out what's the good, what's the bad. And that's always a tricky thing, because you never want to get rid of the good. And so we're trying to do our due diligence, but it's taking us a lot of time.
Absolutely. So it's all about setting up the right processes in the beginning, and going forward with those. A lot of it, it helps if you automate it. There are programs out there to automate it, and training your team to understand data protections every part of the business.
That's important. What you just said, training your team. And I don't mean just one team. I think, and as we mentioned at the beginning, it's got to come down from above, but everyone within the team has to understand the importance. Because you don't want someone on the sales side just putting in records, or, someone off doing that. You want everyone to be on board, that they understand the importance of data governance, data privacy, data cleaning, everything along that line.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then when you have the good quality data, and if you've listened to me before, I always talk about this, but that's when you can start to build relationships. And when you build a relationship with a prospect, you instill the trust. And when you have that trust, that's when you want to buy from them year after year. Sort of like Pauline here. I met Pauline 25 years ago, is before she even started her own company. And there's a trust between the two of us, that she knows what my clients are going to do with her data, but also I know that she only offers good quality data that is cleaned and updated. And there is that trust that built our relationship that's lasted all these years.
Absolutely.
And will last for years to come.
And key for protecting your reputation.
Yes.
And ours. Yes.
Right. Well, World Innovators has been here for 42 years, and that's a key for us. We only recommend good quality sources or data for our clients to use. Just like you're not going to let any Tom, Dick, or Harry use your file if you don't know them, because you don't want them to misuse it.
Absolutely. And I think, as time goes on, people will need, the services of the likes of World Innovators to make sure they are getting recommended safe sources of data, because data protection is only going to get tougher.
Right. Well, because as we mentioned, there are sources out there right now with a lot of garbage data, and they're promoting it, and they're getting huge subscriptions. Monthly subscriptions on data that is not compliant worldwide by GDPR.
And where they can't name the source.
They can't name the source. And so you're paying these exorbitant prices and you're getting garbage. So please make sure you watch where you get your data from. Make sure that it is compliant and opted in. And if you do have any questions for either one of us, I'm going to put both our contact details in the description. I think Pauline's going to give us some further links, or maybe a checklist.
Absolutely. I've got some links that make it easy for people to click through and work out, what their initial assessment is and where they can go from there.
That is extremely helpful, because when you're first starting out on this journey of data compliance, data governance, it can be overwhelming.
Absolutely.
And you also get to that point of, who do you trust? Who really knows what they're talking about? And I'd say, hey, over 25 years of experience here of dealing with it. And then on the list side, we've been dealing with lists for 42 years. We know where people have gone, where publishers have morphed into another publishing company, or where data is coming from.
And I also think one of the big shames, that we've seen since data protection is the amount of US publishers who've completely pulled out of Europe.
Yeah.
And it's not necessary. We need them to come. We need you to come back.
Yeah. But I think they did that because they were scared.
Few tips,
Yeah.
you can be totally compliant, providing you're working with the right people, doing the right thing. Then you can take the market by storm. A lot of those major publishers have disappeared.
Yeah. Well, I think, like I said, they got scared. They got scared by GDPR when it first came out. They got scared of being hit with these big penalties. But like you said, putting a few requirements in place, and as a US publisher, think about it. If most of your competition has pulled out and people aren't receiving those very needed publications with informative information,
Absolutely.
you could gain a lot of good subscribers pretty easily.
So come back and we'll help you to come back into Europe.
Well, my name is Donna Peterson. You're listening to the B2B Marketing Excellence podcast. My guest today was Pauline Murphy from One Stop Data. If you have questions for either one of us, I will post our emails. You can't probably see it. My hand was down there. My emails in the description. So please feel free to reach out to us about any questions or topics you might want to listen to in the future. Thank you very much and have a great day. Bye. Thank you for listening to the B2B Marketing Excellence podcast. Please hit the subscribe button below so you don't miss our next episode. And in the meantime, if you'd like to talk to me, please feel free to send me an email to dpeterson@worldinnovators.com. Till next time, have a great day.